The year is 2001. The entire world is awestruck and captivated by the Spinosaurus through Hollywood's Jurassic Park 3. Spinosaurus, the creature with the massive sail on its back. A creature that, before then, no one had really heard of. It clamps its jaws onto the neck of Tyrannosaurus Rex, the king of the dinosaurs, and snaps it. And in just that moment, the Spinosaurus was born into the public imagination. But here's what you need to know. Most of what you saw in that movie Cena was wrong. Not, Hollywood took a little creative liberty wrong. Not, they made it a bit bigger for drama wrong. It was fundamentally wrong, scientifically wrong, deeply and comprehensively wrong.
And the real story, the actual truth about Spinosaurus, how it lived, and what we are still discovering about it today is weirder, more fascinating, and more humbling than anything a screenwriter could ever imagine.
Let's explore it together in today's video. This is the story of the most mysterious, most misunderstood, and most scientifically earth-shaking dinosaur to ever exist on this planet. To understand why we've misunderstood Spinosaurus for so long, you have to go back in time more than a century. Not to a film studio, but to a desert. The year is 1912. A German paleontologist named Ernst Stromer is hunched under the scorching sun of the Egyptian Sahara, carefully brushing sand off something massive, something he had never seen before. Bones that curved and rose in ways that defied every known creature. A skull as long and narrow as a crocodile's. Vertebrae shooting straight toward the sky like pillars of some ancient, impossible architecture some nearly 2 meters tall. He named it Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the Egyptian spine lizard. The fossils were carefully excavated and shipped to Munich, Germany, to be displayed at the Paleontological Museum. For decades, they sat there, the only physical evidence that this extraordinary creature had ever walked the earth. And then, World War II happened. On the night of the 24th of April 1944, Allied bombing raids hit Munich. Buildings burned. The museum took a direct hit. By the next morning, the only known fossils of Spinosaurus aegyptiacus had been turned into ash and rubble. The only hard evidence of one of the largest predators in the history of life on Earth destroyed. Destroyed by human war, by human indifference, by human failure. For the next 70 years, paleontologists had almost nothing to study. A few old drawings, Stromer's written descriptions, fragments, guesses, and into that void of knowledge, our imagination rushed in to fill the gaps. That is where the myths were born. That is exactly why everything later said about Spinosaurus was misunderstood. Spinosaurus is considered one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs to ever exist on Earth, measuring about 4,659 feet in length. But for decades, science underestimated its true size. We used to think Spinosaurus was a land-based rival to the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but the reality is that Spinosaurus lived in North Africa, modern-day Egypt and Morocco, over 90 million years ago, during the mid-Cretaceous period. Rex lived at the end of the Cretaceous, about 60 million years ago in North America, the modern-day US, and Canada. The truth is, Spinosaurus and T-Rex never actually met. Let's start with the most basic assumption, the most obvious, undeniable feeling. We assumed Spinosaurus was built like a typical large carnivorous dinosaur, bipedal. 2 massive hind legs, 2 smaller arms, perfectly balanced for hunting on land, like T-Rex, like Allosaurus, like every other large theropod ever found. In 2014, when researchers finally found a nearly complete Spinosaurus skeleton, the first pivotal specimen since the Munich fossils were destroyed, they made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the world of paleontology. Spinosaurus might have been quadrupedal, a creature that walked on all 4 limbs. This was like discovering that everything you thought you knew about how this creature moved, how it hunted, how it supported its weight, how it existed in the world was built on a completely false foundation. The scientific community exploded. Debates broke out in journals, conference rooms, and university hallways. Some researchers pushed back hard. Others were convinced. The controversy continues to this day and has no end in sight. But here is what no one argues. This creature was weirder in deeper ways than anyone could have imagined. Its skull was long and thin, bizarre for an apex predator, with interlocking conical teeth between the upper and lower jaws like interlaced fingers. It was built for a completely different purpose, trapping slippery, fast-moving prey, making escape impossible. Scientists have seen this same dental architecture in marine reptiles, ancient crocodiles, and fish-hunting pterosaurs. Even more surprising were its limbs. The hind legs were unusually short compared to its massive body proportions. Its tail was tall and spine flattened sideways like a paddle. And here is another surprise. What about that legendary sail on its back? It might have been used for thermoregulation underwater, for display, or to attract mates. A 2024 study proposed something even more impressive, that Spinosaurus might have whipped its long tail against the water's surface like a thresher shark to stun fish before they could escape. Every feature on this creature's body pointed toward the same extraordinary conclusion. It had aquatic behavior. Spinosaurus might be the first known semi-aquatic dinosaur. Thus began the greatest debate over whether Spinosaurus was a diving dinosaur or just a wader. This question has divided scientists for over a decade and still lacks a clear, definitive answer. When scientists examined the 2014 specimen in detail, they noticed something strange that gave them pause. Spinosaurus had dense bones. Unusually dense, not the typical hollow, air-filled bones of most dinosaurs. Solid, heavy, the kind of bones you see in animals that need to control buoyancy in water, animals that need ballast to keep themselves submerged. Combined with the paddle-like tail, short hind legs, and fish-catching teeth, the conclusion that Spinosaurus could dive underwater seemed almost inevitable. In 2020, a groundbreaking paper in the journal Nature declared, Spinosaurus is the first known aquatic dinosaur. It didn't just wade. It didn't just stand on the shore and snag fish. It swam. It dived. It propelled itself through the water with an eel-like undulating motion, chasing prey beneath the surface. The scientific world was rocked. This was unprecedented. A giant carnivorous dinosaur that had, over millions of years, evolved into a completely aquatic lifestyle. The implications were staggering. And then, another group of scientists looked at the same evidence and analyzed it differently. They created 3D models of Spinosaurus and tried to simulate how it moved in water. The results showed that its body was too light to dive deep. It couldn't swim like a penguin. Instead, it tended to float and stay unstable underwater. This cast doubt on the fully underwater swimming hypothesis. Then came a 2024 paper that might be the most decisive blow yet to the deep diving theory. Researchers discovered a problem. Elephants also have dense bones. So do large land animals. They simply need that bone mass to support their massive body weight. Dense bones, it turns out, don't clearly distinguish between divers and non-divers. The mathematical models used to make that initial argument had fundamental flaws. A new picture emerged that seems almost poetic in its elegance. Spinosaurus as a prehistoric heron. Not a dolphin, not a deep-sea predator. Something like an aquatic giant capable of walking into water deeper than 6 feet without floating, holding its position with its weight, and lunging at fish with terrifying speed and precision, its interlocking teeth making escape impossible. The heron from hell, as one researcher called it. And here is the remarkable thing about this debate, the thing that makes it more thrilling than frustrating. Both sides agree on the basic fact. Spinosaurus was intimately and uniquely adapted to the water in ways no large carnivorous dinosaur had ever been before. The argument is about the degree, not the direction. Is it a wader or a diver? Is it more like a heron or a crocodile? We still don't know. The debate remains. The science is ongoing. The story of Spinosaurus continues. It continues to a much larger degree, taking a turn that no one saw coming. A great human discovery of a prehistoric creature. November 2019. A remote region of the Sahara Desert in Niger. A scientific expedition led by Paul Sereno, working at a site called Jengubi, spotted strange bones protruding from the sand. One of the team members reached down and picked up a curved bone, large, weirdly shaped. No one was sure what they were looking at. It took years more excavations in 2022, meticulous analysis in Chicago. They had found a new species of Spinosaurus. In February 2026, the discovery was published in the journal Science. The creature was named Spinosaurus mirabilis, the wonderful Spinosaurus. And wonderful it truly is, in the most awe-inspiring sense possible. On top of its skull, mirabilis carried a curved, blade-like cresta bony blade, so large and unexpected that the first scientists who found it didn't actually realize what it was. When they finally pieced the full picture together, the crest looked like nothing ever seen on any Spinosaur, for that matter, any dinosaur. Based on analytical research, the researchers believe it was encased in keratin, the same material as your fingernails or a rhino's horn. A blade of living tissue rising from the creature's head. For what purpose? Display, most likely. To attract mates, to intimidate rivals, to signal status in a lush, tropical world full of rivers and teeming with life. Because the Sahara Desert, the most barren place on Earth today, was once a wetland paradise. A network of rivers ran through jungles, full of giant fish, armored crocodiles, and creatures we are still discovering. Spinosaurus mirabilis hunted in those rivers. It competed with other giant predators. And it wore that extraordinary crest like its own banner. This discovery doesn't just add a species to the list. It completely transforms our understanding of the Spinosaurus lineage. This wasn't a single, isolated, accidentally weird creature. This was an entire dynasty of animals, diverse, widespread, evolving over tens of millions of years in ways we are only just beginning to map out. The same 2024 study that refined our understanding of how Spinosaurus hunted also revealed something else equally unexpected. It wasn't a fish specialist. It was an opportunist. A generalist hunter that would catch fish in shallow water, yes, but also hunted small and medium-sized land vertebrates, and even pterosaurs. Those flying reptiles were snatched from the air or from the water's edge. That monster was more versatile, smarter in its hunting strategies, and more complex than anything we ever thought. Let me take you back to that movie theater. The year 2001. You watch Spinosaurus kill the T-Rex, and you think you understand something about the ancient world. You walk out of the theater with an image in your head, an image that feels vivid, real, and complete. That image is wrong. But here is what I want you to sit back and think about. It's not your fault. The scientists in 2001 didn't have the tools, the specimens, or the computing power to know what we know now. The textbooks your children read in school or that you read in school were built on the best possible evidence at the time. And that best possible evidence was incomplete. It was burned. It was buried. It was lost to war, sand, and time. What Spinosaurus teaches us more than any creature in the fossil record is that knowledge is not a destination. It is a direction. In just 12 years, from 2014 to 2026, we have gone from barely knowing what this animal looked like to debating the physics of its swimming style, to discovering entirely new species with head crests that look like medieval weapons. 12 years. Think about what the next 12 years might bring. There are bones in the Sahara sands right now that no human has ever seen. There are species in rock layers that haven't been excavated. There are answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask yet. A question, an open door, a reminder that the most honest thing science can say isn't, "We know it's we're getting closer." And that, honestly, is the most exciting sentence I know. Spinosaurus, still amazing us, still winning. We are still striving to make better and more interesting videos every day. Please follow the channel and share this video to support us. Thank you so much. See you in the next video exploring prehistoric creatures.